What's my plan to free this island from these invaders? Shall I attack them head on, stand off with them like my uncle would? Yes, that's what I'll do.
You know, you could just go ahead and assassinate them all.
And who are you?
I don't know, you can consider me the devil on your shoulder. I'm just here to go ahead and give you some good ideas, because you know what? You've got a whole entire island to save. And doing this standoff thing that you're thinking about doing, it's suicidal, okay? I don't care about what your uncle thinks about, being memorable and being honorable and all the other BS. Do you want to live to see another day?
What you're saying makes quite a bit of sense, even though it's very dishonorable. I mean, I can't save my uncle and this island if I'm dead, right?
Hey, wait a second.
And who are you supposed to be?
Well, I mean, I guess you could consider me the angel on your shoulder. Look, you should do the honorable thing. You should go ahead and do what you were planning on doing. Stand off with him. Take them on, one by one, and annihilate them just like your uncle would.
Yeah, I'm going with your idea. Toodles.
That's right, you go get them, Tiger.
Wait, no, come back! Ah, crap.
Holy crap, guys. Ghost of Tsushima is freaking awesome. Yes, I have a lot to say about Ghost of Tsushima, and I am sorry that this review is so freaking late. Like I said in my update video and a couple other videos as well, that time has gotten in the way for me. I've been fighting my depression, I've been fighting, all the hours I've been working at work, at my job, and I've been just trying to stay healthy as best as possible. But I'm glad that I can finally talk about Ghosts, even though I was hoping to do a more intricate skit. There was actually going to be a really cool samurai showdown that I had all planned out using my badass samurai sword and a couple other props that I wound up getting, and we were going to get some really cool, footage, and we were going to do an old school samurai type showdown like they did in the old school Japanese films, but sadly it didn't get to happen in time, and I'm hoping that maybe at some point, if it's not, at the, end of this year before it starts snowing and stuff, then maybe we might get an opportunity to do it, next year when spring finally starts to roll around. As I was really looking forward to doing it, to pay homage to the old samurai films of, way back when, these really badass Japanese films. And actually, Ghost of Tsushima does such a great job of, reminiscing and paying homage itself to those very things. It shows that those, old films were very much an inspiration for this game, and it is something to behold. I have so much glowing praise of Ghost of Tsushima, and I can't hold it back. So, let's just dive right into it and talk about this amazing PlayStation 4 exclusive game, and one of the last ones, if not, I think really the last one, to come out on the PlayStation 4, and, and maybe at one point I'll go ahead and take a look back and rate all of PlayStation 4's top games over its life cycle. And I think that would be really cool. I would like to do that too with Xbox as well. This game definitely would have to be high up there for me, and here are the reasons for why I feel like that. First off, Ghost of Tsushima is one of the most beautiful games. I know it seems like I always say that every time I come out here for a PlayStation 4 exclusive, it's freaking beautiful, but holy shit. Every time they do a new game, somebody comes trotting out their new game, it looks even more mind-boggling and just absolutely freaking gorgeous than the last one. This game makes God of War look like it was drawn on an Etch-a-Sketch, okay? Alright, not really, but come on now. I mean, this game is so damn beautiful. The colors, the vibrant, beautiful colors are what helps stand out more than anything. the falling leaves, the gentle wind, the grass waving back and forth. This is the most realistic foliage and, animations and, character designs and so many other things. Water, everything just looks so damn good. And it's just dripping with so much detail. And it's very impressive in this open world game. It's so hard to do. There's only a handful of games that have really nailed this. And this game does it even better because even though it's a big island, there's a lot of space to cover. Each area, each, big, chunk of the island is so varied. One area might be full of like yellow, beautiful trees with the leaves falling down. Some of them might be the red trees. Some of it might be like swampland. Some of it might be icy, snowy peaks. It all varies. And, it makes it where everything feels so different that even though it's the same island, it feels like you're going to different continents. That only lends itself to some of the most beautiful sound design I've ever heard in gaming. From, obviously the whistling, the wind through the trees, to, the voice actors who all do a great job delivering their lines and, and really bringing it with this game. I thought I was playing an open world samurai game, but apparently Naughty Dog decided to dip into this bad boy, as some of the dialogue and some of the conversations and the facial animations, and the standoffs are reminiscent of something like what Naughty Dog would do. Or some of these other really high-name studios that you're used to seeing these high production values from. Sucker Punch brought it, okay? And I feel like I can't give them enough fucking praise because, even though I've enjoyed their games in the past and I think that they've done a really solid job, nothing has come to this level. I don't know what it was that sparked this in them, but I'm glad that it was brought out. Because now that they've stepped up their game, Sucker Punch is on my radar. From now on, whatever they're working on, I'm fully on board. Because, these guys, like I said before, their games before were always really good. I've always really enjoyed them. The Infamous games were fantastic, but, they weren't this stellar. With the level of detail, with the great writing, the combat. Oh my god, the combat. We'll talk about that in just a hot second. But so many things in this game just blend so well together. And it shows that there was a level of detail and, just love and craftsmanship that's put into this game that's just so rare. And actually, to be honest with you, even though it's rare, it's starting to become a little more uncommon now. Which is good. That's a good thing. Because yes, it is a work of art, and it should feel like you were really prideful of it. And, even though the game might have lacked a smidge of polish in some areas, the game is just so well done that was really acceptable at launch. There wasn't a lot of game-breaking bugs or crashes. There was just a couple of hilarious bugs, maybe even slightly frustrating bugs, but really nothing that couldn't be remedied by a quick, save, back to the menu, and then loading it back up, which only takes maybe a minute or two at most. So, obviously, my hat's off to Sucker Punch for all of this. This game, just on the graphics and the audio alone, is a fucking 12 out of 10, okay? And I haven't even really gotten started, okay? This is just the beginning, alright? I don't think you guys seem to realize how much I love this freaking game, okay? Ghost of Tsushima is everything that I've wanted, bar the fact that you can't create your own, just brand new, unique samurai, right? And while I can completely forgive that because I feel like the story that they've told here and the characters that they've done do more than well enough of a job, the final samurai type game that I would love, that I'm still seeking for somebody to do right and to do justice for, is some type of, old school Japanese samurai type game where you can kind of choose to be whatever you want. Assassin, you can choose to be a samurai or an honorable samurai, you can choose to be a dishonorable ronin, whatever. You've got, your 3 or 4 or 5 different, branches and, different types of classes that you can choose to be, and you can make your own, adventure, that you can have your own branching, storylines, and you can build your legend as as one of these things. And to me, that's like the ultimate game, and this game is just like a half a step below that. So, of course, I'm going to heap praise on it, because they did such a great job. Yes, I'm a huge fanboy of this game, but they also just did a really great job. Going back to, the story, yes, like I said before, it is really well done. You play as Jin Sakai, your uncle, who is somebody who is obviously very honorable, who's somebody who's very well known. He basically kind of runs the island in a way. He keeps everything in check, right? He's not really so much of an emperor as much as he's just somebody who everybody looks up to, right? You guys know that the Mongols are coming, right? Because this is basically not really... It's kind of an alternate world view. Not so much of like a Wolfenstein per se, but more of that in the vein of like, this is a dramatization of like what had happened when the Mongols, pushed their way to attack Japan, to try and take Japan way back in the day. So in this, you take control of, the fictional Jin Sakai, and you lose, basically. In the very beginning of the game, you lose. You lose, all the samurai are pretty much dead, and you are just trying to take out whatever remnants you can. Basically, villagers and, and nobodies and Ronin, and you're trying to build a squad together to fight back the Mongols and to retake your island. And honestly, like I said, most of the characters in here are really well done, fleshed out. They've got great backstories. They're very emotional characters. Masako, who's also a samurai, she's a female samurai, who goes ahead and loses her whole family in the invasion, from her sons to her husband, and even then, like, the wives and her grandchildren. It's so sad. It's so heartbreaking. As, you try to corral the woman, but how can you sit there and try to hold back a woman who wants nothing more than to avenge the people that that means the most to her, and to take out the people that helped kill her family, who betrayed her family. And there's so many other stories, from Kinji to, oh God, what's his name? I think it's like Ishikawa, I think his name is, the archer. And, and there's also, of course, there's Yuri and her brother, Taka. There we go. And so, like, there's all these great characters, and there's even more as you continue to unlock parts of the island, and you get to explore the island. All of this is great, but what makes it really great, what also just helps it take it to the next level, other than these other things that I've mentioned, is the lore and the craftsmanship that it goes into, everything that's on the island. From, the collectibles that you can find, to the tributes that you'll find that you can honor and respect, and it'll give you, new cosmetics and, and new colors for your armor and stuff, and your weapons. And even these interesting little side tales, right? So you can go ahead and explore the island, and you'll run into other things too, other like collectibles per se, like things that'll help, maybe gain you more health or give you more, charm slots, stuff like that, right? So you'll find like fox dens. Fox dens will go ahead and give you more charm slots as you go ahead and find more of them. I think it's like you find 3, and then I think it's like you find 5, and then you find like 7 or something like that. And once you do that, and you follow the fox to the shrine of Inari, and you honor the shrine, of course you can pet the fox, right? That's a huge thing that everybody lost their minds over, but it's still extremely cute, so I can't even be mad about it. It's adorable as fuck. But you'll find these, hidden throughout, obviously, the island. But you'll also find other things like, people who are in distress, right? They've been captured by the Mongols, being tortured by the Mongols. And if you, take out the Mongols and you free them, sometimes they'll give you valuable information, like where to find these Inari statues, or the fox dens, or, or other statues or tributes, or, places where they've got bamboo strikes, where you cut down the bamboo, you have to press the buttons fast enough. It goes like 3, 5, and 7, button presses, and if you get them all in the line, it'll give you, what it'll do, I think it'll increase your vitality. It's not your health, it's the other thing, right? So you'll get, let me back up a little bit. So you have 3 or 4 main things that you have to pay attention to. You've got your health, right? Your health bar. You've got these other things, these like little circles, right? And as you'll gain more of them with, the bamboo strikes, but you'll also gain more through other various things as well, through completing the story, completing certain side missions and stuff like that. And these you can actually use to sacrifice to do special attacks. You can use them to heal yourself. That's how you heal yourself. And sometimes even to revive yourself. If you have at least 2, and you get taken out in combat by maybe a boss or something, or maybe somebody hits you from the back and knocks you down, instead of, you crawling away or you being waited to be, finished off by somebody, you can revive yourself and you have just a little bit of health and you can try to, get yourself out of the situation. All of this is fantastic. It all ties together, right? And so, these people that you save, they tell you these tales to find these things, but the other thing that they do is sometimes they'll sit there and give you like little secret tidbits, like this particular storyteller that you find multiple times to find like this legendary armor and these legendary techniques. They're like, hey, I heard so-and-so was over in this area. You should go check him out. He was telling the tale of this, and that. And so they'll give you these, these legendary moves and these legendary move sets and stuff like that, and it's really great. It all feels so organic, right? And it's something that you want in this open world type game. This is what I want more studios to recognize and understand, is that you want things to A, not waste your time, and B, you want them to feel like it's a living, breathing world. Like, no matter what happens, whether you go save those people or you interfere in this thing or you stop the Mongols from burning down a village, that if you don't do anything, they're still going to do it. It's not just waiting for you to show up. That it feels like a living, breathing world. That's what Skyrim got right. It's what The Witcher 3 got right. It's these things that help make you feel invested into this world. And Ghost of Tsushima does this in spades, okay? And that's what makes it so great. There are people that, when you save them, they'll be in these locations, these safe zones, and they'll be there to say, hey, thanks for saving me, I told my uncle about you, or maybe they'll give you another piece like, hey, watch out for this area, or something along the lines of that. And it's great to see them in these areas where the people that you saved, right? And it makes it feel like it's all worth it. Like you're not just grinding just for the sake of grinding. It doesn't waste your time. And that's important in these open world games. It's something that, I heard people point out that Ghost of Tsushima is just an Ubisoft game. And it's like, that wouldn't even be an insult. Ubisoft games, they're not bad in theory, they're just bad in execution. Because so much of it's cut and paste, or at least it was. I'm hoping now with them clearing house, that maybe it'll give the developers a chance to breathe and actually, they've got talented people on their staff, they just haven't had a chance to really, pour out their talent into their games because everything's so cookie cutter, so cut and paste. This is what I would imagine we'd get more with Ubisoft if given an opportunity to let them just be themselves, and that's important. That's why I need a game like Ghost of Tsushima. If people are going to compare it to an Ubisoft game, I need more Ubisoft games like this, okay? Because this one has so much heart and love in it. And of course, we haven't even gotten to the most important part, the combat. Now, I mentioned legendary moves, and those are super important as these badass moves from, being able to do these quick strikes. Honestly, that one's my favorite one, right? So you've got this quick strike. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but basically I think it's the triangle and the circle button. If you press it, you'll consume one of your little, your circles, your little vitality circle. And you'll do like a quick strike where you'll like pair up and you'll do like a Rurouni Kenshin move. You'll just do a quick slash and cut through somebody. It's so cool, because especially when you're taking on like a bigger guy, he's a pain in the ass, because the bigger guys, you can whop on them a couple times, but it doesn't stun them, and they're going to just turn around and just smack the shit out of you. So to do these quick strike moves does kind of slow them down a little bit, but also helps you get into a rhythm, right? As it's not just a simple bashing of like the light and heavy attacks. You can combine them and do certain combos, but also you have other special moves, and of course you have your parries. There's so much depth to this combat. It's this kind of type of combat. I mean, Sekiro is sort of familiar and similar to this, right? And I know Sekiro obviously came before this. But where the two differentiate is the fact that obviously Sekiro is a much harder game. This is more of the game and type of style that I want. Sekiro and Noah, of course, and 1 and 2 are both games I love, but I get so easily frustrated with. Where this game I can fall more in love with because I don't feel so punished. Because I'm not great at parrying. I'm not. It's an important, vital thing here, and it's something that you need to learn to do, but I don't feel nearly as punished here as I do in those, other games. But, obviously, like I said, the parrying, the going back and forth, dodging, you'll do a little sidestep, but eventually you can learn how to, roll and stuff like that, and the rolls can sometimes be a little annoying, as sometimes you're simply just trying to dodge, and sometimes it will just think, oh, you want me to roll, and you'll just do a super cop roll right away from the person you're trying to avoid. And I know sometimes it's my biggest issue too, is the dodge button and the roll button being the same thing. Sometimes you're like, oh shit, because the guy's coming at you, and you'll press circle a couple times by accident, just trying to do a couple quick step dodges. Instead, you're just gonna roll the fuck away, and not trying to do that. As you continue to learn new move sets and you continue to learn new abilities and stuff like that, you'll also have some dope ass abilities, like when you dodge, if you do a perfect dodge or a perfect parry, you can do like a one-hit kill on smaller guys, and like a really powerful move basically to like the more heavy hitter guys like the bosses, where it won't kill them but it'll do a lot of damage. And it's just these different types of things that these different types of moves and these different types of abilities that really help you kind of flesh out the way that you want to be as a samurai, but also it combines with the stealth slash ninja slash assassin type abilities, right? The non-honorable, the dishonorable version, right? Combat, right? And these are all so great. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, some of them are a little broken in a way, but it's okay because really, if you think about it, it's more of a power fantasy anyways. Blowing smoke bombs and and getting the ability to do like multiple one-hit kill strikes when chain assassinations, what they're called, chain assassinations, is ridiculous as you're just spinning around, just cutting through everybody. It's freaking nuts. And once again, gives you that vibe, that Rurouni Kenshin vibe, like you're the the Batosai, right? You're just cutting through everything. But I mean, there are so many ways, and that's the beauty of it too. With combat, there are so many different ways to tackle each and every scenario. Whether you want to do full stealth thing where you're walking around on the rooftops and just assassinating people, jumping on people, chain assassinating people, or simply just throwing kunai, or sticky bombs, or immense amount of different things. Things to help distract enemies. You've got like little firecrackers to help distract enemies, and you can come up and assassinate them and stab them in the throat. There's so much variation here, and it's amazing. I wish more, like I said, more open world games took note, because it's one of those things, like I've said before, I don't need a copy and paste of Ghost of Tsushima or Skyrim or The Witcher 3. All three games do these things well, but they all do it in their own style, their own way, which is what's so damn important. You can make it your own, while also still paying homage and taking these ideas that work, that make it where people feel invested and they want to complete and to do these things, these objectives, these tasks, these missions, to complete everything in the game. These are super important, right? From all the different ways to approach combat, the organic feeling story and the world around you, the amazing, beautiful visuals. And obviously, like I said, not every game has to look this stunning. It doesn't look like it's a fucking movie, okay? Obviously, each game's gonna have its own style and its own, creativity. That's perfectly fine. But all these things mesh together to give you this brilliant package, right? That feels like it's absolutely worth your time, your money, and it doesn't feel like you're getting gypped, as nothing's sold here. There's no microtransactions, which is starting to finally become more of a norm again. As yes, there are still a lot of games that do shovel microtransactions into them. Don't get me started on fucking Call of Duty, right? You can build a great product and have people come flocking to it. If you want to add a few things after launch, that's perfectly fine. But if you give a great, satisfying product, if you did want to build DLC for it, or if you did want to do something, fairly extensive for it, later on down the line, people are going to be on board with it because they're not going to feel like you jibbed them or that you cut it out to sell it to them later. Okay, this game feels complete. It's like a 40 or 50 hour game, depending on how much, you want to get done. If you want to get the main story done, I'd say it's about 25 to 30 hours, maybe a little less, as I guess I wouldn't really know because I didn't gun it through the story. I wanted to explore everything. Certain hidden things, points of interest are, shown to you by little birds. And there's even a little storyline about the birds, about how important they are, about showing you, things that you need to find, and and leading you toward things of of interest. It's not just the shrines or the bamboo strikes. There's also hot springs where you can sit there and meditate and think about. You get to choose kind of like what Jin wants to think about, and what you want to reflect on. There's There's freaking haikus in this damn game, okay? Which is freaking amazing, okay? You get to create and craft your own haikus, and you'll get, other like little bits and pieces like armor and gear and stuff like that that are representative of the haiku you wrote, which is freaking amazing, okay?
Clean, brisk day. The clouds high in the sky. And then a crackling brown leaf falls.
I mean, honestly, the level of depth, and it's not just, it's the depth, it's, it's the organic stuff, but also it's just like I said, it's just paying homage, not just samurai movies, but Japanese culture as a whole. Because it just feels like it's a giant love letter to Japanese culture. Oh, I didn't even talk about you can collect grasshoppers to get more tunes to play on your flute. Which if you play the flute when you have, you can change the weather with your flute. It's freaking awesome, okay? To wrap it up, talking about the good things, the positive things, the great things, the side missions and quests, obviously, like I mentioned before, they're organic, you kind of just run into them, whether you storm certain places as you're just exploring the area, or you might be told of points of interest, like, hey, avoid this area, or hey, my brother, got jumped by these guys over here, or hey, they were kicking my ass over there, avoid that, stuff like that makes it to where, it becomes interesting. But what's also interesting about, these side quests and these missions, even the main missions for that matter, is the fact that they've got like these little intros, right, that are once again paying homage to like old school samurai, movies. And it's so great. As, it tells you the name of the mission or the name of the side quest. Like I said, it's got these really cool, intros. When you're getting into a battle with somebody, you'll have these cool like standoff moments, right? It feels like something out of, like I said, not just old school samurai movies, but like, something like out of Rurouni Kenshin. Something I grew up with, and that's what made me fall in love with samurai, was watching that, that show, that anime. It feels so great to finally have, something that feels not like, it's not just paying homage, obviously it is, but just it feels great to finally be able to play something that, you fell in love with for so long, right? I don't know, I'm not explaining it very well. I know I'm a happy, giddy person about it. I've put 35, 40 hours in this game, completed most of it, right? I've completed so much of it. It just leaves me feeling so happy, because it's just a dream come true to finally get a game like this. There's so many different sets of armor that all give different perks and abilities that you could upgrade. They've got their own trees. Going back to, like I said, you've got your abilities. You've got all your abilities, and your weapons can all be upgraded, from the bows to the swords. Obviously they can do more damage. Obviously you can upgrade to your ghost weapons, as they call them, your ghost gadgets, whatever they were definitely ghost gadgets. I'm gonna call them ghost gadgets though from now on. As you can increase how many you carry, what they do. But even more so, what adds this extra layer, and this is kind of tying back into the combat a little bit, but what adds this extra layer are the charms I mentioned, where you go to the Inari statues, you respect the Inari statues, and after you get so many, you get another charm slot, right? And once you max out, you got about 6 or 7 of them or so, and, you'll get these charms completing side missions, main missions, whatever, and the charms all do different things. They might give you more health, they might make it where your weapons do more damage, they might make it where, smoke bombs are more effective. Whatever, they all do different things. And they're all super useful. And actually, believe it or not, in this patch coming up here, the 1.1, I think it is, right? I could be wrong on that. I think it's the 1.1 patch is supposed to actually be adding it to where, each set of armor actually, all the different sets of armor that you can get will all have, charms slotted in it. Because beforehand you had to just swap out the charms yourself. The charms would just swap over to whatever armor you're wearing, and you'd have to swap them out yourself. But now you can slot them in each armor, so you can have your own unique builds, right? Which I think is fantastic. But also they're adding new charms, these legendary charms that can even add new things like lightning strikes to your heavenly strike, which is fucking amazing, by the way. That's so fucking crazy. So it's just, there's so much stuff in here, right? I could keep going on and on and on and on about all the good stuff. And if I haven't convinced you yet, I don't know what more I can do to do that, okay? This game is freaking awesome. You should definitely, absolutely check it out. I mean, there's no losing here. Unless you're just not a fan of samurai games, or you're not a fan of open world games, or you're not a fan of really good stories, okay? There is one little negative here. You know, like I said before, you know, and this is more of a nitpick, obviously. You know, I wish I could build my own samurai from scratch, but I get it, obviously. You know, that's so much harder to do overall, and I get that. You know, maybe one day I'll get somebody, if it's not Sucker Punch, somebody to go ahead and give me this samurai game I've wanted for so goddamn long. But, you know, that's nothing. That's not going to affect the score at all. What could affect the score, you know, and it almost did for me a little bit, was the fact that there's this, you know, this illusion of choice. You know, that, you know, you can choose to be honorable or you can choose to be dishonorable. It's all up to you. But the reality is when you get to the cutscenes, when you get to certain parts in the story, it doesn't really matter what you did. You could be an honorable samurai the whole way, getting your ass creamed, but you wind up making it out anyways. And the cutscene's still going to play out the same way, no matter what. And for this, I feel like it was a missed opportunity. It goes back to what happened with Naughty Dog in The Last of Us Part 2, where it seems like there's a disconnect between the gameplay team and the story team, where they've got these ideas, you know, and they wanted to have this opportunity to explore. Hey, are you going to do anything to survive, or are you going to go down in a ball of flame? You know, what's your choice? What's your decision? But it doesn't actually give you the opportunity, right? And there's branching thoughts and processes, and really more than anything, it's more of a way to be able to replay the game, right? To give you these different choices or options and ways to tackle certain things. So that way, if you do a new game plus, or if you just want to start over brand new from scratch before you go back to another new game plus, that you can kind of see different scenarios play out, but it doesn't overall affect the story. And I kind of wish it did a little bit, right? It doesn't really affect the ending. It doesn't affect the ending. It doesn't affect, you know, the main story or the points or the conversations that are going to have. No matter what you do, it's going to play out the same way. So really, it's about the way that you want to play that's going to affect your, you know, feelings of this game. With that, I would like to sit there and grade the game, but I do want to touch on one more thing. So I mulled it over for a long time, and I guess that's the other reason why I've been waiting so long to review this game. Because right around the time I was going to originally review the game, they had announced something big for this game. And at that time, I was really mulling over the fact that I was like, is this game a 9 out of 10, or is it a 10 out of 10? A 10 out of 10, a legendary rating, is very serious. It's something that I feel like, once again, is something that is a gold standard in its genre, right? That's why I gave Metro a 10 out of 10. That's why I've given The Witcher 3 a 10 out of 10. The Last of Us Part 1 a 10 out of 10. You know, I gave Doom Eternal this year a 10 out of 10, okay? And it deserves it. It is a gold standard in first-person shooters. And this game was teetering on that, right? Because I didn't like the fact that there was an illusion of choice. However, all these other great points and these things was pushing me over the edge. The one final thing that might push you over the edge, if all these other positive things that I touched on have not yet, the other thing that's coming in this 1.1 update that's happening in the middle of October is they're adding a multiplayer aspect. Yes, they're adding this co-op, you know, raid type thing where you can, you know, team up in a 2-player co-op. You can even do it by yourself if you don't have any friends, kind of like me, that are basically single-player missions in a way, and help explore more of the lore and mythology of certain characters, of certain, you know, mythical creatures and stuff like that. And they've actually they'll have 4 different classes, and this is really in-depth thing, right? And it's fully fleshed out. It's something that they obviously been working on for a little while behind the scenes, and it's completely fucking free. It got its own cosmetics, it's got its own, you know, storylines, it's got its own 4-player raid, and I don't know how much they plan on adding to it after it's, you know, released, but the fact that they're giving us this at all, to give even more longevity to this game, giving more trophies and stuff like that, is mind-blowing, okay? So for me, this game deserves not only your attention, but it deserves this score. And that's right, Ghost of Tsushima is a 10 out of 10. A legendary rating. Yes, it deserves this rating. It is a fantastic game that I don't have a ton of complaints about. You know, there was a little bit of polish issues, but a lot of those small, tiny things, these glitches and stuff like that, have been ironed out. There wasn't a lot, you know, at release, and there's hardly any now. There might be one or so every once in a blue moon, but once again, after putting 35, 40 hours in the game, I've only ran into one bug twice. And that's where, for some reason, you get stuck on your horse, but your horse gets a mind of its own and it just starts running around randomly, not where you want it to go. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it started. It just randomly happens. And that's one of those bugs that I mentioned earlier where you save the game, you go back to the menu, and you pop back in, and it fixes itself. It just has so much, it's got so much depth of quality, and it's got so much quantity. It's got quality and it's got quantity, baby. Let's go. It already had a great product at release. But with the 1.1, they're giving it a new game plus, they're giving you a new vendor, right? And as well as new difficulties and stuff like that. And this new vendor will give you new cosmetics, new things that you can sit there and trade in these ghost flowers for to get new badass stuff. You get new charms, you get new ways to play. It's amazing. They've put so much love into this game before they released it, and they've only done more, but they've only poured more love into it, right? After release. This is an amazing game, okay? This is one of Sony's fucking best. And yeah, I might be a smidge of a fanboy, but honestly, this is how you do an open world game. This is definitely one of those games where when I think open world games, this is one of the top 3, with Skyrim and with The Witcher 3 at the top as well. Once again, this is in great company, in my mind. And I feel like if you haven't gotten this game, go get this game, okay? This is a Sony game you need. Just like Uncharted 4, just like The Last of Us Part 1, just like, you know, God of War, this belongs on your shelf. Go check it out. That's it for me today, guys. The next is The Avengers. I do want to talk about The Avengers. And I'm still debating what I'm going to do with Madden 21, if I'm going to stick it in my 5-minute review, if I'll do a separate review. I don't know if I got enough to talk about, because to be honest with you, I'll talk about those games soon. So, you know, stay tuned, keep an eye out for it. Obviously, if you haven't yet, subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications if you really want to hear what I have to say about these games. And, you know, and see what I review these games as. And, of course, thank you guys for the view. Thanks for sticking around with me, you know, through this crazy year. I know, like I said, I've had a lot of shit going on. And I've been a little bit behind on these videos, but I appreciate you guys sticking with me. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next On The Shelf. Bye, guys.
I waited for the night to fall in love. It's how you really know I fucked it up. That just a little lie is all it was. It's all it was. Didn't think for a minute. My intentions were so obvious. What the hell I admitted? You're the first one of your kind, not just one in a million. So we turn the lights out, turn the lights out.